Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Rivalz Race Chat. Clinton, Geoffrey, and Adam Ross here as we are weekly. Adam, how you doing today?
I'm excited, Clint. How are you?
I'm having audio problems, and I go, Adam, how are you today? And you just nod. I'm like, well, thanks for confirming that everything's working for me, buddy.
Listen, I'm excited because you're a little bit agitated. And earlier today, we have a group chat for some of the different racing groups at Oshweekon Speedway. And Clinton Geoffrey often is a bit of a politician. You know, you say the right thing, you calm the moment, then once in a while you drop the hammer. And it's not even that bad, I can just tell. It's not that he's pissed, it's just short, sweet. This is how it is. End of discussion. Clint is angry. Angry Clint makes for an entertaining Clint. That's why I'm excited.
I actually told you I was going to save my rage for the show today, and that's all I have to say about that at that moment. We can jump into it right now, or we can save it for a bit. But, I mean, let's talk about a few things. Let's jump into it. So first, we're expecting Kyle Steckley to jump by and talk about all things late models, both here and Snowball Derby weekend as well, and his upcoming plans for the upcoming season. We've also invited Tyler Bartlett on, who runs Can-Am Speedway, has also been one of the tracks that jumped in on the crate sprints. I was talking to Tyler today and said, hey, it'd be great to have you on the show just to talk about what's going on up in the North Country in New York and how things are going up there. So we expect Tyler Bartlett to come and join us maybe around 8:30 and talk about some stuff with us. We have a lot of topics to go over, a lot of stuff to go on. I mean, Adam, we all saw the car in the swimming pool last week, and you said that's a publicity stunt, so we got to talk about that. I can't believe we let that one go last week. But what got me fired up today was it's on our rundown. So the Patriot sprints have folded. We'll talk about that a little bit. That leaves the Empire Super Sprints left in New York and the Quebec end of things as far as 360 sprints. Well, they've gone out and said they're going to allow crates and 305s now to run with the 360s. So, you know, one of our drivers shared it, and this driver is also a driver that went out and tried to compete with the Outlaws with their crate sprint and stuff. So I have made it very clear to them that I'm not a fan of mixing classes together. So I think my post was pretty much back like, yeah. So the idea is mixing 360s together with crates. It's great for the crates to have that opportunity. But as a promoter, Adam, why wouldn't we just make one super group of sprint cars, pay, a middle purse, and get everybody in one division? Now we got 90 or 100 cars to choose from. All of us promoters, that'd be great for us. But the crate guys who are wanting to play with the big boys would be the first ones to cry. They're getting their asses handed to them every week when the division goes to shit. So, you guys can have it both ways. I'm trying to look up my response to it today, and it was shared to the group basically saying, hey, they're going to allow the crates.
One of those, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I said, yeah, it just takes us one step closer to one division of sprint cars across the board, where our promoters can pay $1,500 to win and combine all the classes together. If you guys want to mix and match, let's do it. All sprint cars, one division, I'm in. But don't bitch when you're running against 360s weekly, though. And, and we have a good thing going. We have a lot of people pulling to get cash for all these divisions. It's kind of an insult to a guy like us who are out putting these efforts in to make these guys what they are, and they want to run. Like, hey, you guys want to run for the World of Outlaws? Take your little sprint car and go for it.
Yeah, and I don't think any harm was meant by the sharing of that post. And if you look at the ESS, see, Oshweekon's different because it's a home track 360 place. So you expect the 360s to pull their own weight. ESS knows very well they will travel to regions where there are 305 sprints and now where there are crate sprints. And certainly they want to bolster their numbers when they go to a place. Pick an example. You go to Fonda and there's 305s down there. You go to Can-Am and there's crates there. Sure, I get it for them. Doesn't work for Oshweekon. Doesn't make sense. Because if you need to fill the field with crate sprints, you're not doing a good enough job promoting sprint car racing. Know what I mean? Like, you run a 360 special, fill it with 360s. So I get both sides, but I just enjoyed the fact that you were agitated because I find you're more direct and to the point when you're pissed off.
And me and Huntsinger, we don't have no beefs. I'm not mad at Ryan for it. I just try to make these guys realize, it can be a slippery slope too. But you're right, Adam. I do agree. You should be able to fill out your field with enough cars that you shouldn't have to pick from other divisions to fill it. I mean, this would be no different than running a 358 tour for modifieds and say, okay, well, we're going to allow, all the sportsman guys to come out too, just because we can. So is it open or is it not? But I see Kyle's joined. Let's get into our talk with Kyle Steckley. We'll come back, and then I'll try and reconnect here because I haven't having mic issues, and if I'm not synced up, we'll figure that out for you too. Kyle, welcome to the program, and welcome back to the Great White North, man. That must be pretty crappy coming back Sunday, Monday to the cold.
Yeah, the trailer just got back from Florida, and we're unloading it now, so I've been out in the cold, and yeah, it's not as nice as down in Florida, that's for sure.
Talk about the buzz of that event, Kyle. So you've been to a lot of races, you've run in a lot of races, but even as a fan, you've been to a lot of races. What does the vibe, the buzz around the Snowball Derby and the Snowflake Derby compare to? Anything you've ever experienced?
Nothing at all. I've been to so many races. I've been to the Daytona 500, and I don't even think that compares to it. It's like none other. You walk through the pits, you see all the trailers, and there's modified trailers in Thursday night, then Outlaws in Friday night, and then their trailers in and out completely stacked. 60 super late, 60 pro lates. All the guys there just short track guys willing to lend a hand. The community's awesome. The event is amazing, and it's a full week of racing, that's for sure.
Kyle, let me ask a pointed question. Why? Big investment, no point series, a lot at risk, a lot of money on the line. Is it to make a name? Is it to get experience racing against these veteran guys? Why do it?
All of it. Just get experience, get your name out there, try and learn more, run with the best of the best. Say you've ran in the Snowflake 100, the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest pro late model race in the world. So, now I can say I've ran in the Snowflake 100 against some of the best competition out there. I gained a ton of experience, learned a ton, racing on a track like none other. I was hoping to run a little bit better, talk to people down there, get my name out there, but we still had a great trip. We had a good run. Just wish we could have got the handling on the car a little bit better, but overall it's still an amazing experience, and I'd love to go down again if I had the opportunity.
I noticed, Kyle, from your post right afterwards, and even with your answer right there, you could sense the disappointment in your result. Your result doesn't reflect how well you raced just to get into the show. So now that you've had a couple of days to kind of mull it over, overall, can you be satisfied that you went down there, you got in the show, and you learned a lot, or are you still frustrated?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely be satisfied. I'm still a little frustrated because I feel there's more in the car, there's more in me, and there's more in our crew to run better. And, I set my expectations high always, and we didn't come through with what I was hoping to achieve, but still an amazing achievement to make the race, qualify 11th. I was really happy with the qualifying effort we had. We were running inside the top 10 for the first 40 or so laps, but just the car fell off, and we never seemed to get the handling quite right on the car, as we seemed to change pretty much everything and just couldn't get it quite right. The loads at that track are crazy. The loads you're getting in the front springs and how much the rear springs are compressing. So just couldn't quite get a handle on the car the way I would have liked, but still pretty amazing achievement, and happy to say that I ran in the Snowflake 100.
Kyle Alvers here on our chat is asking, why not try and qualify for the Derby and the Snowflake? Is the equipment, it's a lot different, obviously, but, maybe you can address that.
Yeah, well, one, it's just a lot more money to go into the Snowball because you need a different motor, different shocks, and just the competition is so much higher in the super late. So our first time down, we didn't want to take too huge of a jump, and a pro late model was a lot more. It made a lot more sense financially, and to see how we'd rank up before we'd go all out in a super late race. So that's really the main reason. I would have loved to run in the Snowball Derby, but I think the smart decision for us was to not make a huge change to our car. We kept most of the stuff the same, and we were able to run in the pro late model race. And I think that it just made a lot more sense for us with how much it costs to get down there and everything. trying to do a super late race would have just not made sense and would have been a lot more money financially.
Kyle, can you talk us through a qualifying lap at Five Flags in your car? Like, how do you drive those things? Did it feel like anything you've ever experienced? Take us through a lap.
Nothing like qualifying here. Nothing like qualifying I've ever done before. You get out on the track. You're straight up to speed. Your warm up. You get one warm up lap and two qualifying laps. Your warm up lap, you got to send it into one and see how much you got in the car, and then next turn 3 and 4 in your warm up lap, you got to get a good lap to get off the corner well, and you drive it into one as deep as you can, hardly using any brakes, and 2 seconds later you're right back on the gas, getting full throttle, and then you drive it into 3 and 4 really deep. And most of the times your first lap's the fastest, so there's no screwing around. You got to get up to speed. No scrubbing your tires. Straight up to speed and don't lift. And don't use the brakes either. No brakes. You don't use any brakes there, which is absolutely wild. So it's a ton of fun qualifying runs, that's for sure.
You can see by your smile, Kyle, it looks like you wish you could race at a place like that every week. Let's talk about the fog on Saturday. So that's one of our discussion things. I mean, we're going to talk about how the super lates got pushed to next week, which Adam and I both think is a crappy bit of promoting, but we'll discuss that maybe. And if you want to jump in on it, that's fine. But, take us through the day. So you guys have been there, since like Thursday, Friday, you're practicing all these days. You get to the big race, and then the fog starts rolling in, the weather starts rolling in, delays. Just take us through that night, how it worked out for your end.
Yeah, well, we had Saturday morning, we had a practice. I thought we made some good improvements, but turns out the car still wasn't that good Saturday morning practice. So we made a bunch more adjustments for qualifying, and we went out and the car was really good. So as soon as qualifying was over, I was ready to race. I was happy. I was ready to get after it. And then had to wait around until 7:00. We got in our cars, and just as we were getting in the cars, it started to rain. And they're going to try and get it in, and then it started raining harder. And the rain delay took forever. They couldn't get the track dry. And by the time it was like 12:30, they called us back to our cars and got in. And then, yeah, it was an interesting race running at 1 a.m. And then at the end there, the last 20 laps, fog rolled in and it got a little dewy and the track changed for sure. But it was definitely an interesting day. It kind of sucked for me because I was ready to go. And then we were just getting in the car and had to get out and wait around for 4 or 5 hours trying to get the track dry. So it was a lot different. The track changed a ton from practice to practice, and even throughout the race, it changed a lot, which was a little different than here. There isn't as much change in the track around here, so that was kind of interesting. The fog definitely affected the track, so it was an interesting race, that's for sure.
Now, who did you have spotting for you, Kyle? Like, do you take a group of people that you're accustomed to, or do you have anyone who sort of specializes in racing down there? It's a different animal.
No, our whole group was all from up here, so we took a lot of the guys who helped us out on a regular basis. We had Ken Coutu spotting for me, who spots for Clayton Opswich in the Pinto series, so he spotted for my dad for a long time, and he made the trip down and spotted for me and did a good job. And we had pretty much our whole late model crew went down with us to help out. So it was good knowing the people around us, and they all knew our car well, and it worked out well.
Kyle, Afterlife here in our chat is asking, what car did you take with you? Was it your weekly car or a special one for that race? And what kind of extra parts do you bring for an event like that?
So we took our APC car that we...
Oh, lost Kyle there.
Yeah,
just getting the meat of that one, Adam, and he just
Milverton might have just struck us. So we'll try to reconnect with Kyle. But one thing that I was really impressed with, Clinton, was Kyle's ability on the microphone. He's really done a great job working the skills he needs to work, and I wouldn't say mastering them, but he's got a really good grasp on how to answer a question, how to deliver. And remember last week when I was talking about swagger with J.R. Fitzpatrick?
Yep.
I was watching him in the driver introductions, and that's exactly what I thought of. Like, look at the confidence on this kid.
And his dad's one of the quieter guys out there too, right? So it definitely doesn't have to live up to Scott's, ability when it comes to attitude like that. Scott's one of the quieter guys who just keeps the nose to the grind. So while we wait to see if we can get Kyle back, let's talk about the snowball in the car, Adam. So this is one of the pure stock cars, basically a street stock car. So Spencer, I don't know if you got the news story or not. If you do, roll it. Adam, you said this was a setup. So this was a car that broke free from its trailer, ended up in a swimming pool in a hotel. The picture started surfacing.
No one
What
was
do you
in the
got for us?
car,
Here it is. Play it, Spence.
and no one was in the water when it took a dive.
Oh, okay. So there's the car, Adam. You can see it broke through the fence and ended up in the swimming pool. They got it out, towed it away, and then the thing ends up the next day finishing third in the pure stock race at Derby weekend at Five Flags. And you say this is a publicity stunt.
Clint, what are the odds? A car comes off a trailer driving down the road, makes it through the parking lot, makes it through crashing through the fence to the pool, and in the pool in such an angle that is able to get all the way in and sink to the bottom. There is no oil. Where's the gasoline? Where's the oil? Where is the residue that would come off a pure stock that should be floating in the water? It just stinks to me. And even the news story afterwards was so complete. Like, they interviewed all these people. Yeah, Kale, he's a dumbass. I knew something was going to happen to use them straps. Come on!
Okay, so I got to go against you on this one. So here's my thoughts. Okay, one, even if you tried to set that up, the best stunt, people in the world couldn't make that happen. As perfect as that, driving down the road, have it break loose from. Remember, there were witnesses. They didn't just say, "Oh, by the way, Billy Joe was driving his truck in the trailer and it just ended up." People saw this happen. So the car breaks off the trailer at speed, rolls somehow in, which, I've always taught to put the car in park or gear when it's on the trailer. So I don't know. There's a lot of mysteries to this, how this could happen.
No, you don't want to put
in the water.
You don't put a car in gear on the trailer.
Well, you're just
too hard on
neutral.
Yeah, lock it down.
We always jacked
leave
up
it
our
in
cars
neutral.
too. So, but let me answer your residue question now. If that car just went in there 30 seconds ago, the picture we're seeing, nothing would have leaked out then. Now, an hour later,
it's a pure stock. Dude, have you ever seen a race car after a race? Have you ever seen a street stock after a race?
But this guy was going to the Snowball Derby. He put the best polish he could on this thing. He even cleaned the engine bay. I just don't. I don't know.
It just seems
Gary
suspect.
brings up a good point too. It kind of went straight through there and didn't really turn left like a race car should have through the fence either. But I don't know.
And I'm not saying. Right, I'm not screaming this is a fix. I'm just saying there's some things that strike me as odd.
Okay, so let's put it this way. If it is a fix, that's a kick-ass fix. Home run, boys. You nailed that one. Didn't kill nobody. I mean, there could have been someone in the pool. I mean, it's...
Who won the pure stock race?
I don't know. But that guy finished.
Who cares? That's right. We know who finished third. And like I say, I'm not screaming conspiracy theories. I'm just saying that is 10 layers of bizarre.
Okay, so we haven't got Kyle yet to jump back on, so we're not sure if he lost the internet, like you said, just Milverton strikes. Adam, let's talk about this. So Saturday night, they have all these outlaw teams, outlaw late model teams, at Five Flags for their race, which is supposed to happen after the Saturday night snowflake race. And for some of our dirt fans who maybe aren't up to speed, it's a big weekend of asphalt late model racing. The Saturday would be like the Sportsman or the small block version. The Sunday would be the big block or the whatever version, right? So this is kind of the support race was a Saturday night. And one of the other support races to the support race was the Outlaw Super Late Models, which had been there for a day or two, had practiced, run all their qualifying. They were then told, come back next week. Now, Adam, this is a shit-ass bit of promoting because you have teams from all over North America here at this deal. And now you're telling these guys, come back next week. Now, you know damn well half this field isn't coming back. So it's a cash grab of all sorts. And you're telling me on your biggest weekend, where you already raced till 1 in the morning, you couldn't run this race after the Snowball Derby 300 on Sunday, or start an hour early, or even make them a 30-minute time limit. Throw these guys some kind of bone. Back me up on this, Adam. That's bullshit, right?
Yeah, it's a bad bit of promoting. And the sad thing is, most of those cars will be there next year too. And they shouldn't. You got to make a stand. But yeah, every effort should have been made to run that race. I don't think you would run it before the Snowball Derby just because it's 3 o'clock in the morning by this time. And you start in pre-race for the Snowball at noon. So, I mean, you got to give your track workers some time to sleep. But like you say, run it afterwards. Figure out what you can do. You've alienated a lot of fans. You've alienated a lot of teams. And it's the principle of it. Like, difficult decisions need to be made when you're a promoter. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But in this case, it's a no-lose. Financially, it's a big gain for the promoter.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
You're not paying those teams. Half of them won't be back.
You have to find a way to make this work for these people, or they're not going to invest in your event in the future. I mean, at least the people involved with these divisions are going home butthurt, and as they should be. I mean, you owe them something. So we'll see how that one shakes out. Don't forget, Fast Eddie still has their t-shirt clearance going on. Check them out, fasteddiespeedwear.com. Want to make a quick mention of that, and I got my Fast Eddie speed gear on tonight as well. So make sure you check that out. Some great gift opportunities for Christmas going forward. Adam, what else? We have a whole list of stuff.
We do, but let's talk a little bit more about that event. So I paid the $75 for the weekend, right? Because we're big race fans, so we'll do that. I'll pay to watch this. I'll pay to watch the Chili Bowl. There's big races that I want to watch. And I thought it was a decent broadcast. I was watching a lot of people complaining a lot about damn near everything on it. But for $75, I think people deserve to. One complaint was during the snowflake, the feed cut off. And I don't know if they reached a maximum time limit because they had been streaming for a long time. I was able to shut my feed off, restart it, and I only missed a handful of laps. Some people weren't able to get back on, which would have been pretty frustrating if you've been up committed to watching the event for that many hours and not be able to see the finish in the middle of the night.
That's the beauty of us sticking to the free stream platform on GeForce. If it doesn't work, nobody could really be mad because you're getting it for free anyways. So
yeah,
And
Alvers, those weren't sportsman cars. They were outlaw super late models, and they did come from all over the country.
So was it $75 for the weekend package, or $75 for just like 1 or 2 days?
I think it was $75 for the weekend for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't know what the day only was, but anyhow. And Afterlife making the comment that the Gateway broadcast was way better product for TV, because I believe, isn't it still Michael Rigsby involved in that Gateway event? I mean, he really is, aside from Spencer, he is the best producer in the business. I mean, they should be able to get out there and put on a good show.
We'll get into the Gateway here in a minute. Let's wrap up the APC and the pavement side of things, or maybe we can get into the Gateway. I mean, I don't know. What a crazy story there, Adam, with the Gateway with Tyler Irvin. I don't know whether we should wrap this up. But yeah, let's go into the Gateway, because then if Kyle comes back, we can talk about APC and stuff if he happens to reconnect.
Hey,
so the Gateway.
Before I forget, I really don't want to. I should have done this last week. I think we knew, or else it happened just after. But welcome home to Rob DiVincenzo. Back home with Tyler. I've been chatting with them a little bit and invited them to come on anytime they want to. And more the angle is to talk about Tyler and what he went through this year. It was great to see him be able to get out to the racetrack and run some races, but even better to see him reunited with his dad. For those who don't know, his dad was detained in the Dominican Republic for about 8 months. Don't want to say unlawfully, but it was some corrupt bullshit going on down there. But fabulous that Rob DiVincenzo is now home with his family, and lots of people reaching out and giving their best wishes. And I didn't want to forget to mention that, Clinton, because Racing is about family, family is about racing, and that was a big story.
Pretty careful with your words. Are you going to Dominican Republic anytime soon?
Didn't mention that to Rob in our conversations, but we leave next Saturday.
If they're watching this, it's worth it if a Dominican border guard's watching our show every week. He'll just let you in.
Right?
Mr. Ross, your diet's going well.
Oh,
Come
sorry.
on inside.
Sorry, Oliver, don't call me Bud. No, it's all good. I wasn't sure if that's what you were talking about, Albers. No, no cavity checks for me.
Quickly, because we don't want to turn into the Weight Loss Weekly update, but how are things going over there?
30 pounds down. Things are good.
No
30
doubt.
pounds down, still eating pretty good. Starting to do, so now with the workouts, I'm doing 5K on the elliptical because we're looking for a 5K to run in the spring. Clint, you're invited. Everyone's invited. I want to get my practice in.
Man,
in fact,
I'll race you to the end of the straightaway, but I do not want to go all the way to the end of the driveway.
Well, let's just say we were to lose 100 pounds combined, me and Dave. That's 100 hot dogs you need to eat in a 5-kilometer race. Whoa. 20 hot dogs per kilometer. So if I'd let you walk it as long as you ate the 20 hot dogs per kilometer.
I didn't say I was taking on both your weights. I said I'd take on what you did, not what Hunsinger does too. And I thought we agreed it was going to be bananas instead of hot dogs, or a little bit of both. I'll wash the hot dog down.
You threw out some options, but we didn't agree to them. Hey, Mac-Man, good to see you.
Yeah. Okay, well, you let me know. I guess I better. Can I get started, or I just got to start like May to September and cram them all in a few months there?
You bury those wieners however and whenever you like. If it's bananas you prefer, get them in you.
I set you up every week. Hey, Mac-Man, since you're on the chat and said hello, are you going 360s with bar or crates? That's the hot topic we all want to know. That's the inquiring minds question of the week. Mac-Man back with bar, but is he jumping to the 360 or staying with bar in the crates? So you let us know, Mac. Gateway Nationals, Adam, what a story there. Tyler Erb goes on to win it. I mean, where do you even start there? You want to tell that story?
Really, the story happened ending first, right? Tyler Erb went out and raced all weekend, whatever. It is what it is. Good for him. He winds up winning the feature. And then afterwards, lets everybody in on the fact that his father passed away at the start of the trip. I don't have the exact details, but that's what happened. A massive heart attack took down his dad. They didn't really announce anything, and they decided to go racing. That's what they were there to do, and he goes out and wins it. I mean, what a storybook finish!
But it gets so
Tyler
deeper
Erb
than that.
to
Okay,
do
so
that.
it's one thing to lose your dad, and then race on through the week, and win the big event. That's so amazing. But Adam, his dad was his crew chief, been in all these races, his best friend. To keep that to yourself and just keep your head down and keep your work down. He must have been asked 1,000 times over the weekend, hey, where's your dad? How's your dad? Where's your dad today? And to keep that in and keep your composure and just be like, oh, he couldn't make it, or whatever the line was, man, tears at your heart to even think about how crazy that must have been for him. And then to go out and win it and to tell everybody in Victory Lane, by the way, my dad's not here because he passed away Wednesday when we drove across the country to get to this event together. Astounding. I don't know if you got any imagery, Spencer, but the image of him hugging his mom at the end was pretty heartwarming. And wow, what
that was my favorite. Yeah. And I mean, that's what we are all about, right? You and I love racing. We've been calling races for a long time. We've been around racing forever. But to me, it's all about the stories. It's all about the personalities. It's all about what happens in and around the sport. And that's the picture. I think it's beautiful. I believe that was taken by TD Photography. I want to give credit where credit is due. We grabbed it off of social media. But just a beautiful moment. And that's, like I say, racing is about a lot more to me than driving around in circles. And this is just a great It's a great story.
Yeah, that is pretty wild. You know, to have the heart and the wow, to just be able to pull through that. That's pretty wild. Kyle says
I'd
his
like to know
Zoom has
what,
completely deleted, so I'll try and send him the link again here.
I'd like to know,
Um,
like, if we had the chance to talk to him, I'd like to know what the last 5 laps were like, right? Like, what does that feel like at the end? What goes through your mind? I mean, it's hard enough to focus as it is. Just craziness.
Kyle
He
said it
just
won't let
sent
him
me
sign
this.
into his account, so we're trying to get him. I just sent him the link again. We'll see if that works for him. So the other incident that was going on, I don't know if we have this video, Spencer, was the Hudson O'Neal and Tyler Carpenter incident. They had some words exchanged. There was some wild action out there. You know, this was a Clint Adam debatable moment too. Did he touch him? Did he crowd him? Did he wreck him? Here it is here. So this is Hudson O'Neal on the outside, Tyler Carpenter on the inside. Now, it was a violent wreck, but we're going to play this a couple times, and you see O'Neal gets Ray out there. But if you watch from the beginning, Carpenter doesn't touch him. He's already into the fence on the outside. Now, some of the other late model guys have said, well, he didn't exactly give him room to get off either. But, you know, he didn't push him up. He didn't make contact. There's at least 6 inches to a foot between the cars. And some of the other guys said, well, that was a shitty corner all weekend. He knew he should have been up that high to begin with.
Right. Was it a dick move by Tyler Carpenter? I don't necessarily think so. I wish we could see more of the corner leading up to that. So, you know what it's like at Merrittville when someone makes a move to the inside, or Humberstone for that matter, and 2 modifieds go into the corner side by side, and you think the car on the outside is going to wreck the car on the inside because he goes right down to the inside wall. But there's still room for the car on the inside just based on the fact that they're both kind of pitched sideways, so they fit through.
Mm-hmm.
The opposite is true on the outside. So Tyler Carpenter might have left a car width out there for Hudson. Hudson needed a car width and a half because your car is sideways, not straight on, right? And that's what was missing. It's straight on, and the result was inevitable. So the thought process being, if Hudson saw what Carpenter was doing, is it his bad for even being there? Like, is that his time to lift? I'd love to see how they were running going down the backstretch.
And see, it's even got our chat fired up with a whole bunch of comments on it. So, yeah, it's just another story that came. We got Kyle Steckley back, by the looks of it. Kyle, welcome back to the program. Glad we made that work. And glad we saved a couple of topics for you, too.
But somehow, I think my whole account got deleted. So, I don't know what happened, but we're back.
I blamed Milverton. I jumped right on it and blamed Milverton Internet, Kyle.
Likely. That could be it, too.
So, okay, Kyle, you were down there. No, wait 1 second, Clint. The car in the swimming pool, is that where you're going, Clint?
No, I was going to get him to answer the question he was going to answer when we lost him, but I like the swimming pool angle. Go with it.
Was there much talk at the racetrack about the car that wound up in the swimming pool?
There wasn't a ton at the track, but everyone's seen the post, and then just before they were about to start racing, it pulled in, and everyone was saying, no way it's going to race, no way it's going to race. And I think he ended up finishing third. So that was pretty funny to see. When I first seen the post, I didn't even know it had anything to do with Five Flags. And then a couple people were talking about it at the track tomorrow or the next day, and everyone didn't think he was going to be racing. He pulled in, fired the car up, and raced, and I think he finished third.
You want to follow up that out?
You know, the reason we asked, Kyle, is I kind of call bullshit. I say something's fishy about that whole story. But that's why we wanted to ask you, like, was there anyone saying that there's no way, this is a crock of shit, something doesn't add up here, people just impressed?
Well, it doesn't make sense, but I don't know. It is like a street stock basically, and it looks the exact same. Like, I seen it at the track, and it looked the exact same. It looked like the exact same car. The trailer it came in, on looks like a trailer that it could have fell off of. So it makes sense, but I don't know. It's quite the thing to be in a swimming pool the night before and running a race the next night. So
All right, Kyle, let's switch the page to 2023 here at home. We've seen you in the APC series and the NPS series. What's the plan for 2023?
yeah, I think we're most likely gonna be back with APC Auto Parts and the APC series to run the 2023 season. I'm really looking forward to that. The schedule just came out with some longer races, so I think that's gonna be a ton of fun. Interesting to see how they're gonna run the strategy with cautions and tires. So I think that's gonna be a lot of fun. And still working on the Pinty series schedule. I'll hopefully get to run some more races. I'd love to run on a road course at CTMP. Tested there this fall and absolutely loved it. So hopefully I get the opportunity to do that. And still working with sponsors to try and put a bit of a schedule together for the Pinty series. I don't think we're going to be running full time this in 2023, but we're going to focus on the APC series and go after a championship. And hopefully we can do that in the season. And we're also going to likely run the Grisdale Triple Crown and Delaware Specials. So I'm excited to get back to Flamborough to run those Grisdale Triple Crowns, and should be a fun year in late models, and hopefully we can rack up lots of victories.
Kyle, after you fell off, we talked about you for a couple of minutes, and the one thing I was really impressed with was the interviews that you gave. Have you been doing any media training? Has there been anyone working with you on that, or has it just come natural to you?
It's just been natural. I haven't done any training or anything like that. I don't know. I'm pretty quiet in person, pretty shy. I don't talk much until I get to know you. But when I'm on camera or got a microphone in front of my face, I know I have to do it. And, the better you can do it, the better you'll look. So I just try and forget about everything else and talk like I know what I'm saying and make stuff up as I go a little bit.
You'd be a fantastic announcer. That's all we do is make shit up all night. No, you did great.
Kyle,
Thank you.
you came into the AP series, gangbusters, ran really well. You had some solid runs in your NPS debuts. What's the one part of your program or one track where you really feel you got to improve to be able to take down JR on a regular basis? What's that one part of your game where, like, man, if this was just a bit better, I got this?
I think Sunset Speedway was a struggle this year. The first race, I really wore out the tires, and that was pretty much on me. I think we had a pretty good car. You can't race side by side at all, really, there, or else your tires are going to be gone. So definitely learned that in the second run there. I think we had a fast car, and I just didn't make it happen, didn't get to the front. So Sunset's a struggle for me. I'm kind of hard on the right rears, so I got to work on that a little bit and work on getting drive off in the car for those tracks and the way I like it, and just save my stuff a bit better at Sunset Speedway. And I think it's something that I could be good at. I just need more laps there and more time running on that track. So hopefully I can test some more there, and hopefully in the 2023 season we have a couple of good runs at Sunset.
Right on. Who does your dad have racing for him next year in the Pinty series, or has he made any announcements yet, or what's the plans?
He's still working on that. I think he's been in talks with lots of guys, with Trayton and Alex, seeing what their plans are for next year. And I'm not exactly sure what he's doing yet, but I'm sure he'll have 2 or 3 cars back next year running. So yeah, that's kind of been put to the side a little bit the last couple of weeks. We've been focusing on Florida, so that's going to get back rolling here now, I'm sure, and excited to see what we do in the Pinty series and be working on those cars again for those guys.
Kyle, we lost you right as you were giving your answer about what you took to Florida. So, you were just getting into that. What type of equipment and cars did you take down?
We took just about everything down. We took a spare car, the car we ran at Delaware Speedway. We took a motor, transmission, shocks, MSD box, like the list goes on and on. We took shear, a welder, spare metal, spare body panels, just about a spare body. I don't know. We took everything: brake lines, brake calipers, brake pads, brake rotors, hubs, the list goes on and on. We pretty much had a complete spare car there, lots of springs and choices for us to adjust because we weren't sure what we were going to be doing with setup. We used a lot of it. We used a lot of our different springs changing stuff. And yeah, we were definitely prepared the best we could be so that if anything happened, we were ready. And luckily nothing major happened. We didn't have any big issues and we didn't have to use any of the stuff we brought.
Kyle, at an event like that, do you socialize much? Did you get to talk to many other drivers? If so, who did you talk to the most?
Not overly. I did a little bit, but a lot. I'm pretty focused on my car, working with my guys at the track, and I really don't socialize a lot in Ontario either. So I talked to some of the drivers, got some tips, and I talked to Derek Thorne a little bit, and I talked to some of the younger guys, talked to Jake Finch and Daniel Dye a little bit, and also talked to Casey Roderick a bit. And I talked to Alex Gannett for a while as well, as he was a Canadian. So that was the first guy I talked to. He had a good run down there. So it was fun racing with him down there and talk about being in a late model together, someone I could sort of rely on as I knew a bit of a friendship before we headed down there.
Right, Kyle. Who are some of your major marketing partners going to help you get this done? Same stickers on the car this year, you figure?
Yeah, I think a lot of the guys are going to return. Of course, APC Auto Parts and Canusa and all their supporters are going to be back. Really thankful to have them on board. They've done huge things for my racing career, and excited to continue working with them. And yeah, I think we're going to continue growing our partnership and have a lot of fun in 2023. AW Millwrights will obviously back. They're a great supporter of mine. Super happy to keep them on the car. Herb Transport, they'll be on the car. Huge supporter, getting trucks to all the races and everything like that. So sure they'll be back. All my local sponsors, hoping to have them return and finalize stuff with Quick and Stewart's Equipment to hopefully have them back as well next year. But yeah, pretty much the same group, and hopefully we can add a couple new ones on board. We've been working on a couple of different companies to try and get something going for the 2023 season. So hopefully can bring them in for some Pinty Series races and make something happen there.
You're definitely good for the sport, Kyle. I mean, we need young talent like you. We've got some great young talent right now in the APC series and in the Pinty series, but you got to keep putting the work in, which you're doing, and hopefully line up those partners and keep finding success. Clint, do you have anything more for Kyle?
Yeah, I think the last question on the list here is, what's your reaction to the APC schedule that came out last week? Is it, you happy with that? Is there anything else you'd like to see? And, obviously you touched upon the longer distance races. Yeah, I tell you're one who looks forward to that because it brings more strategy. So, why do you like the longer distance races? And what do you think about the schedule?
Yeah, personally, I love the longer distance races. I'm not sure how everyone's going to feel about it because I know it's likely going to involve more tires, more strategy. You're likely going to have to pit, have a couple more crew guys. But for me, we come to the track with lots of crew guys, and I'm sure APC will look after us for the extra tires. They're great with that. The series is awesome to run in, and they keep the drivers happy, that's for sure. So I'm really excited for the longer races for strategy, like you said. And personally, I'd love to go back to Jacasa, but I know that's a bit of a struggle. So other than that, I think the schedule is great. Lots of traveling, and makes it fun, makes it equal for everyone who comes from different places. It's not one track more than the other. So excited to go back to Peterborough. I kind of wish that'd be a 2-race deal there because I had a lot of fun at Peterborough, but really excited to just get running with them guys again. It's a great series and great competition. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. You know what? I loved Peterborough as a one-off. I thought it made that event even more special, knowing that this was the one time the series was going to go. I'm with you. I've always liked the racing up there, but I also thought it was pretty cool to make a trip somewhere one time a season. It's a showcase event, and the racing was lights out.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Kyle, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for coming back. Thanks for trying as hard as you did to get back on. You got a lot of fans here who wanted to hear from you, and a lot of people who are really proud of what you accomplished on the weekend.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks a lot, guys, for having me on, and thanks for all the support. Looking forward to seeing you at the racetrack in 2023.
Kyle Steckley, ladies and gentlemen. Catch him in an APC race or a NASCAR Pinty Series race. See you soon.
He just knows what he needs to do, right, Clint? Like that's just a young professional, says what he needs to say. He knows who he is. It's just like that kid.
Definitely. Mac DeMan replied, still to be determined what's going to be under the hood. So it could be a crate, could be a 360. We'll wait to see. Either way, it's good to see Mac getting back and them filling up that bar ride. Patriot Sprints decided to pack it in, Adam. After 20 years, they've decided to fold. Patriot Sprints have packed it in, and now they're going to concentrate on their 305, which is, races down in New York and Pennsylvania with fairly good car counts. But that opens up the ball game just for the Empire Super Sprints now. So we'll see how that plays for them. I mean, it's like you said, have we ever seen a year where more divisions have amalgamated and, combined resources? We saw it most recently with the Knights of Thunder and the Southern Ontario Sprints.
I think it's far from over, Clint. I think we're going to keep seeing this sort of thing. It's for a long time, the sport was sort of every person for themselves, and tracks were doing their own things, and some of them were renegades, some of them were doing what they were doing. Now we're getting to the point where they have to deliver. If you're a traveling series trying to get shows, you have to bring a full field. You have to bring a show. We're more and more of this. The strong is going to eat the weak, and the weak either has to adapt and find something else to race. I think it's going to be good for the race fans, to be honest with you, in the long run, but everyone's going to have to pull up their socks and really put in the effort.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can combine everything into one deal and you can stop a lot of the infighting. To answer Kyle Tomasi's question, to clarify, yes, the Southern Ontario Sprints will be the only 360 tour in Ontario next year. We were running the Knights of Thunder to fill the gap during COVID. The Southern Ontario Sprints come back with a strong plan and back to good leadership. So,
is ESS crossing the border at all?
Maybe into Quebec, but
like the Cornwall, like they ESS has traditionally come up and done a Quebec tour, but I don't know about Cornwall.
Brockville has a show with the ESS. I'm not sure about Cornwall. But I do know that Brockville and Cornwall have booked crate races. I was on the phone with both those promoters today. So the weekends that our weekend is off, we're going to run in some Eastern races down in Brockville, Cornwall. But I know that both of those tracks also wanted to talk to Peter from the Southern Ontario Sprints because they both want races. So Cornwall is trying to get in touch. They're still looking to have 360 races down there, be it ESS or Southern Ontario Sprints. But yeah, so I think in general, I mean, the Patriots and Empire Super Sprints had a battle going on similar to what the KOTS West did. They were fighting for the same tracks with the same drivers and the same rules, and it just is better to have one than two. And, the Knights of Thunder was there to, like we said, to serve the purpose during COVID. And now with the Southern Ontario Sprints coming back, they opened up their tire rule to include everybody's tires. So now guys won't have to make a choice on rubber. I think there's a lot of good things. Payouts are up to what the KOT standard was. And they announced a Tammy 10 Media Point Fund today of $10,000, which is a great start to what they're trying to put together. So, we'll be there to show as many of the sprint races as we can and to be good partners with them. But that's where we are. Tyler Bartlett messaged me, Adam. He is the promoter and operates Can-Am Speedway. He said they also run a heating and cooling business. So I'm off to a no-heat service call, and they're up north. So we fully understand you got to do your day job first, Tyler. He said, possibly next week he can get on with us. So we appreciate Tyler getting back to us and letting us know that. What else do we want to talk about? Mixing feeders with sharks. We already talked about that. Let's talk about static and fuel. So Mike Schmidt made a post this week, Adam. We hear about this all the time. You really got to make sure you're grounded properly. And the static electricity can cause you lots of problems when you're refueling. Mike Schmidt put up a post this week that static fuel got him. He said, we all hear about static electricity and fuel not mixing. After 40-plus years and tens of thousands of gallons of race fuel pumped and mixed, I've never experienced any issues until today. This is Mike Schmidt speaking. Today I was standing in the middle of my shop, pouring race gas out of a 5-gallon can into his plastic gas can, and all of a sudden both the can, gas can, and my arm were on fire. The only thing that could have it is static electricity. Scary shit. Other than that, some blisters on my hand, I'm all right. But that is crazy, Adam. We've seen this happen. I mean, it happened to my buddies at Super Dirt Week. I mean, one of the scariest things I've ever seen was T-Mac and Dipper were filling up the fuel. And, for Matt Williamson, and it ignited there. So I'm not an expert on how to diffuse the static electricity, but man, someone's got to chime into that chat, tell us what proper procedures are, and I think that's our homework that we owe this viewership next week, is to get a fuel expert on and figure out the proper way to handle these fuels and transport them. And I think the biggest problem is going from one type of container to another, and we've seen it before. I think it wasn't that long ago when they were saying something about the filters that these guys were running inside their plastic funnels, like to fill modifieds and that. Something was sparking up.
Right. Yeah.
A few years back. I don't remember exactly. And I mean, we should probably know, but you and I don't fuel cars. I mean, you probably did more than I did in the last couple of years with Connor, but I haven't touched a fuel can in 10, 15 years. So, crazy. But if you know about it, let us know about it. It's a pretty wild story to think about. 5 minutes to go. Let's look at our Burger Bar video of the week.
Yes. Are we going to, never mind.
Well, tell me what you want, and I'll tell you whether you're going to get it. And what.
I hope it's Charlie Mefford.
We have that video, but that's not the Burger Barn video of the week. So let's watch the Burger Barn video of the week. Actually, I don't know if we could get that Mefford video. This is Rob Neely, and they put the sprint car out with some reindeer. I love this. What a great display. The Radio Shuttle 74 of our great driver, Rob Neely, out front of their place. Super cool. What do you think, Adam?
Oh, that's awesome. Great display, great creativity.
Now, I don't know if Spencer was able to get the Mefford interview. It is on the list. But when I tried to watch it today, I could not go back and watch it. So I don't know if it had expired or not.
Okay. It deserves to be. Let's try to find it for Nick. It deserves to be played from start to finish. The moral of the story, folks, and some people are getting this, Clinton, and some people are not. But you have certain opportunities to get FaceTime. As a young racer, I had never heard of Charlie Mefford, but I will never forget it. When you get the opportunity, and you can't be someone you're not, but if take who you are, and if it works to a given situation and you can play to a crowd, Clinton, you know this because we try to do it week in and week out, generally unsuccessfully. Like, it's hard to get a rise out of a live crowd, right? Like by saying something. When you can do that, you feel like Superman. It just feels so good to have a crowd playing back to you. And this kid did it, man. He nailed it, and then he nailed it again. Like, it was just a series of, my goodness, what can he do next? It was fabulous.
All right, so we'll kick off the show with that next week. We'll have to track that one down for sure and make sure we're good to go.
Well, let's talk about Sean Grossman. Yeah.
Yep. Stepping aside, that came out this week. Sean's been an owner driver for the last, decades now, and has decided to step aside. And we'll see how that affects Ryan Kimball's program.
And, we introduced him from Miami, Florida, when he's racing up here. And it's not that he's relocated up here. He commutes, right? It's a big commitment, and he has a family and wants to focus on that. Looks like Ryan Kimball will be left in a pretty good position. I'm sure Sean is as generous as he's been and as good as he's been, as good a team as they've been. It sounds like it'll work out okay.
Kimball's had some good runs in that car. He's on the verge of knocking a couple wins down too. Let's look at Chris Martin with Kia. Adam, this was a story you shared with us. Tell us about this one.
Chris Martin was a kart racer, Waterloo Kart Club, and then did some traveling. He's the cousin of Ryan Conian, grandson of Doug Sire, an old, late super modified racer from way back when. And he is deaf. I believe he has cochlear implants. And he went on from karts to, he's run some late models at Delaware Speedway. He tried all sorts of things to get into the racing business. Went back and did some tuning on go-karts, but he's always stayed around the industry, and he just made a deal with Kia where he is a spokesperson for Kia and their new electric vehicle. And there was a TV commercial made, and congratulations to Chris Martin for making that deal and representing. get some FaceTime. Good looking young kid. He's big into fitness, and he's just doing great things. I'm excited for him. Good things happen to good people, and he's paid his dues for sure.
That's cool. As we sign off here, sad news. Longtime push truck driver Jimmy Jeep has passed away. I was not aware of that. Is that fresh from today? We'll have to update you on that too. Update from last week though, Adam. As soon as we got off the air, Brian Nanacook messaged me and said, "You tell J.R. Fitzpatrick he can have the keys to my crate sprint anytime he wants to take it out." So maybe we'll be getting him back in there. So
that doesn't surprise me one bit. Brian's a good dude. One of the featured drivers on Friday Night Thunder. So if you haven't seen that yet, make sure that you give it a look.
Yeah. Sad news about Jimmy today. We'll bring you updated news on that too. And that's going to do it for today's show, Adam.
Good show. Thanks to Kyle Steckley for coming out. We had some good topics to cover. We'll try to get more on Charlie Mefford. Hell, maybe we should try to get a hold of Charlie Mefford and get him on the show.
There you go. Now we're talking.
Yep, exactly.
Thanks everybody for being with us. Next Tuesday will be and don't forget, next Tuesday is our last show. And then Adam goes on vacation. We'll be off for 2 weeks for Christmas break. So we got one more show, and then we're off for 2 weeks for Christmas break. And we'll be back to get right back into the new season. So thanks everybody for hanging in. Thanks, Spencer, for everything you do. We'll talk at you soon.